Hello, my crafty friends. I'm so glad you're here today to join in this study with me on Job. And I do have two videos before this one. One was an introduction to the fact that we were going to have this study. And then last week I did an introduction to the book of Job and to the study itself. So today we're going to start with Job chapter 1, and we're going to start out just reading the word. I am using an English Standard Version. You can use whatever Bible you like. I like several of them, but this one is the one I decided to do this study with. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. There were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 female donkeys, and very many servants, so that this man was the greatest of all the peoples of the east. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and consecrate them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" And Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and walking up and down on it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." In other words, only his physical body you can't touch. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and there came a messenger to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them, and the Sabines fell upon them and took them and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another, and he said, "The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another, who said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 groups and made a raid on the camels and took them and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another, and he said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and behold, a great wind came across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young people, and they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Then Job arose, and he tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped. He said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with any wrong. That's where we're starting. That's the music we're going to use as the base for our art today. We just read that, and I want to read you some questions out of this book, Wrestling with Job, Wrestling with God, just to think about, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to read some out of this book. What indications are there that God's evaluation of Job, blameless and upright, was correct even though he was initially blessed with prosperity. In this very ancient document, Satan appears as an angelic adversary with free access to God's presence, unlike the devil in the New Testament. What does Satan accuse Job of? Though Job apparently is unaware of God's approval, what signs indicate that this is important for Job? What signs indicate it's important for him to have God's approval? And then the last one is, in what ways is Job's response different from responses people make today to life's hard blows? Okay, so that's some questions to think about. And some of those questions I'm going to read his thoughts about. And then I'm going to read his thoughts about some other things because I think he's done a really good job with this. And this is Ray C. Stedman's Let God Be God. And he says, the first 3 opening verses reveal some significant facts about Job. First, we learn that he was an upright and godly man. He is called blameless. And make no mistake, this does not mean Job was sinless. The Hebrew word that is translated blameless is tam, which means complete, lacking nothing, balanced and integrated in his character. Like all human beings but Jesus himself, Job was born in sin, and he sinned during his lifetime. Yet he's described as blameless or complete, because he dealt with his sin in the way God required. When Job sinned, he was sorry for his sin. He confessed it to God, and he repented and turned away from his sin. These verses also tell us that Job feared God and shunned evil. Job was complete and upright because he had an awe and a respect for God, plus a fear of offending the righteousness of God. He was complete and upright because he loved God and he turned away from evil. Job gave a burnt offering on behalf of his children. In the scriptures, the burnt offering is always a symbol of total dedication to God, an awareness of God's rightful ownership of us. A burnt offering is a sacrifice of a male animal, the healthiest and most perfect animal of the herd or flock, completely without blemish. The perfection of the burnt offering symbolizes the perfect sacrifice of the Lord Jesus. Centuries after the death of Job, Jesus the Messiah would stand before Pontius Pilate, who would declare, "I find no fault in him at all." That's in John 18, verse 38. The physical perfection of the burnt offering symbolized the moral and spiritual perfection of Jesus, the great sacrifice for our sin. When Job sacrificed a burnt offering for the sake of his children, he expressed the burden of his heart for them. Job desired that all of his children might belong wholly and completely to God. So Job committed his children to God by means of this burnt offering. The sacrifice of the burnt offering completes this picture of Job, not merely as a godly man, but a good and loving father to his children. The name Satan means the adversary. That's how Satan first appears in the book of Job. We see him there in the midst of all the angels of heaven, and there is no question that he comes as an adversary, an enemy of God, and an enemy of humanity. Clearly, this is Satan after the fall. The books of Ezekiel and Isaiah describe the fall of Satan in Ezekiel 28:11 through 18 and Isaiah 14. There we are told that he was once the greatest of angels, but he became arrogant and proud. In opposition to God who created him, Satan led a rebellion. And yet there is a deeper level of truth behind the book of Job. In this scene, we see that the book of Job was written in part to reveal to us the relationship between God and Satan. Our Lord does not want us to be confused or uninformed about the power of this vicious enemy called Satan. The adversary is deadly and powerful. He hates God and he hates us. But Satan is not the equivalent of God. He is under the authority of God. The book of Job shows us right from the start that God is in control of all things. All the forces of the universe are to his to command. All of time and space are under his authority. Nothing ever takes God by surprise. There is nothing beyond the reach of God's will, not even Satan. No, God is the great sovereign of the universe. Every living thing in the universe must acknowledge that he is the Lord of all. Even rebellious Satan must confess that God is in control. There is nothing Satan can do in heaven or on earth except with God's permission. Have you noticed who challenges who in this account? Those who are vaguely aware of the story of Job tend to think that Satan challenges God. In reality, it's the other way around. God challenges Satan. When Satan comes into the courts of heaven, God says, "Satan, where have you come from?" Satan replies, "I've been roaming through the earth and going back and forth in it." What does Satan mean? Under questioning from God, Satan admits what he's been up to. He's been roaming all over the earth trying to stir up trouble among human beings. He has been tempting and trying and tormenting the human race. So God says to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." In other words, God tells Satan, "Have you been trying to attack my servant Job? He's a righteous, complete, balanced man. He turns from evil the moment he sees it." Satan replies, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and surely he will curse you to your face." Satan is saying, "I can't get to Job. Sure, I've tried. I've been thinking and plotting and trying to figure out a way to bring him down. But you have him protected, so I can't get to him. God, you're not playing fair. Of course Job loves you. Look at all the blessings you've showered on him. But take those blessings away, and he'll curse you to your face." At that, God says, in effect, "Let's see if you're right. Attack all of his blessings and possessions. Let's see if he truly loves me, or if he only loves the wealth that I've allowed him to possess." This account shows us two important aspects of our adversary. First, it reveals to us Satan's activity. Second, it reveals to us his philosophy and thinking. Peter tells us, "Be of sober spirit, be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour." That's 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. And in Ephesians 4, Paul warns us not to give Satan an opportunity to invade our lives. "In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. And do not give the devil a foothold." And that's Ephesians 4, verses 26 and 27. Why does our anger give Satan a foothold in our lives? Because when we hold on, and hold on, I think, is the key verse here, because God tells us not to sin in our anger and not to let the sun go down while we're still angry. So when something's unjust or feels unjust or whatever, we get angry. It's a human emotion. But he's saying behave, handle yourself well even during those angry times. Because when we hold on to bitterness and rage, we are living out the satanic philosophy. We are aligning our thoughts with the thoughts of Satan. What is Satan's philosophy? Me first. It's a philosophy of the ego enthroned in the self-deified. Selfishness is at the core of all hate, grudge-bearing, and revenge. Here's Satan's philosophy, a philosophy that sounds much like what many of our contemporaries say today. I look out for number one. I bow to no one. I am my own God. Satan believes that the law of serving ourselves is so fundamental in the universe that everyone must think as he does. He even thinks Job shares his satanic philosophy. So the adversary tells God, in effect, the only reason Job loves you is because you shower him with blessings. You protect him from harm. But I'll take that wager I'll wager that if you put Job in some really painful circumstances, if you take away his blessings, he will choose resentment and bitterness. He will curse you to your face. Deep down, your creatures are all the same, and even though you've condemned me for being prideful and rebellious, Job is really no different from me. So that, and of course, this is this man's reading of the scripture and what he sees in there. But it feels authentic to me, so that's why I'm reading you what he has studied and decided. We must understand that Satan is a rebel. What does he care about God's rules? He would break them in a heartbeat if he could, but he can't. When God makes his decree, there is no hint that Satan would even think of violating it. Satan has no power to go beyond God's control. The Lord is sovereign, and even Satan must acknowledge God's authority to set limits on his activity. The cruelty and malignancy of Satan is revealed in that he struck everything Job had, just as God permitted. Satan dumped everything on Job without warning, without giving Job any time to prepare himself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In a single day, probably within a single hour, the hammer blows fell on him one after the other. With the fourth and final hammer blow, Job numbly realizes that everything has been stripped from him, even his family. The only family member left to Job was his wife, and as we shall see, and as Satan may have known in advance, Job's wife would be no comfort to him. How would you respond to the incredible loss that Job has suffered? What if everything you owned and all of your beloved children were taken away from you in a single day of calamity? We see Job's response in the closing verses of chapter 1. He says, those verses say, "At this, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell on the ground in worship and said, 'Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave me, and the Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away.'" Sorry about that. Ethan didn't realize I was that I was making a video. So, okay, let's see. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. And that's verses 20 through 22 of Job chapter 1. Clearly, Job demonstrated that he could handle suffering. Instead of raging at the unfairness of everything that had been taken from him, he thanked God for the privilege and joy of having possessions and children. Rather than complaining about his loss, Job recognized God's sovereign right to do as he chose. Because of Job's righteous response, God has won the first round and Satan's argument has been answered. Job loves God. Take away his possessions, even take away his children, and Job still loves God. You may wonder, what's happening behind the scenes of my life? Is Satan targeting my life right now? Am I the next battlefield in Satan's cosmic rebellion against God's authority? All I can say is this: don't worry about things you can't control. Live your life a day at a time. It's true. If Satan had his way, he would destroy each of us. He would wreck our joy, slash our faith, and fill us with grief and pain imaginable. Why does Satan want to hurt us? Is he angry with us? No, he's angry with God. He wants to attack God, whom we serve, and he will carry out his attack through us. But God's protecting hand is over us, shielding us from Satan's rage. If we can enjoy any peace and security in this life, it is because the hand of God has been around us like a hedge of protection. So our attitude should not be, "Oh, what if God is about to let Satan hurt me?" Rather, our attitude should be, "Oh, Lord, thank you for the blessings you've given me. Help me to appreciate them while they're mine and to release them when the time comes to let go. I don't know what the future holds, Lord, but I know you hold the future. Whatever you choose to do or allow in my life, I will never let go of you." What are the toughest, hardiest plants in a time of drought? The ones that put down the deepest roots. In fact, farmers sometimes stress certain varieties of trees, depriving them of water for weeks after they're planted in order to force those trees to put their roots down deep into the soil. When those trees are mature and times of drought and hardship come, they will survive, while trees with shallow root systems are scorched to death by heat and drought. This is what hardship does in our lives. It forces us to put our roots down deep into the soil of God's love. Whenever we are tested by trials of pain and loss, it's helpful to look beyond our momentary suffering and see the eternal implications of this test. This life is a battlefield, and we are warriors who serve the King of the universe. This life is a test, and we win a battle on behalf of our Lord and Master whenever we pass the test. As the Apostle Paul reminds us, and God is faithful, he will not let you be tempted or tested beyond what you can bear. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. God will not test you beyond your ability to maintain your faith in him. This is a hard book. This is a hard book. Well, I wanted to put this song on there. We will understand it better by and by. I don't know if we will ever really understand it better, but well, it's not gonna all fit. Let's see if we just do it at this edge and this edge. It just says we will understand it better. But I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Let's go ahead and put some glue on here. All right. Well, I didn't quite make it up to the top part, but that's okay. We will clip the, probably should have just left those on there. May have to put something else on the back of this to get it to well, it might be all right. It's looking a little better. I am not a neat crafter. I end up with stuff all over the place. Now, where's my little, somewhere in here I have, there it is. A glue eraser. Now, I have to be honest with you, other than choosing the song to go on my background, I haven't really thought about this too much. I mean, about what art I'm going to put on it. So, pretty perfect. Well, that little part right there didn't want to come off. Okay. Okay. I'm going to pause and look for some fun things to put on here. I'll be right back. Okay. I have a few things here. I've got these pretty dies that I got in some Happy Mail. I'm pretty sure they came from Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. And this also. And then this is just some rice paper that I had that I was playing with it, and I just burned it to see what it would look like. So I could put this on here and then put some of these maybe like that. What else could we stick in there? Maybe a little one right in the middle. I don't know, something like that. And if I put it on here, I definitely want to color these. And I've got some sprays, some eucalyptus walnut ink, and then some forest moss distress oxide spray. And I'll probably use both of those if I do it on here. I definitely will do the green. Now, I also could put this on here, and I think, yeah, see, you would still be able to see the words depending on where how I did it. Like that would probably be good. And then we could put these on here, and we could actually leave them white. I think that's really pretty. But they might be pretty in green too. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of these and go ahead and spray them, and so I can see what they're going to look like. And then I can decide what I want to do. I need to find... Oh. Okay, we need to... Okay, so let's do these two first. Actually, let's do 3. I'm going to do one of each and then one with both, and we'll see what we think about that. Okay. And then I'm going to, with this one, I'm going to do, there's that. That's the eucalyptus walnut ink. And then the forest moss. Okay, let's wipe off the sprayers so I don't regret it. Oops. Oh, thankfully that was something with the lid on. Okay. There's that. And I'm going to let these dry, and then I'll be back and we'll test them out. Okay, those are still not 100% dry, but they're close. And I thought I'd show you what they look like on here. I could do it like that, or I could bring this one down and put it in here too. I do want the stems, you know, hidden behind the paper. I really like that. I think it's pretty. But let's see what this would be like. Okay. Just trying to fold this around here because I'm not going to cut it if we're not going to use it, because that will limit my ability to use it some other time. Okay. So it would be like this. You know what? I love this paper, and I think it's going to make a lovely background for something, but today I just think I like the simplicity of this. So we are going to put this on there. And I had chosen some other ones, but as long as these are taken to dry, I think I'm just going to go ahead and put these on there. They look cute. I like them all. I didn't pick out any special ones because I think they were prettier than the others. I just picked some, and then I chose different ones to color just in case it went bad. But it didn't go bad, so. Okay, somewhere I have a glue magazine. Well, where's my glue magazine? Okay, let's put the glue on here. Oh, I forgot I was gonna, well, oh, yeah. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I was gonna use the, let's go ahead and ink the edges first because okay, we're gonna use the Mod Podge so we can get this to go on there. Well, gotta get a paintbrush. It's always something. Always something. I'm getting glue everywhere. Let's move this. Let's move this up here. Okay. I want to get this mostly down. But then I want to add in the these. But they need to be. Now, one thing that might happen is they might change colors again. I just realized, you know, these are distress. And I'm putting liquid on top of them. So who knows how this is going to actually end up looking. Okay, I'm going to not do any more brushing because you can see it's running a little bit. Alrighty. Let me take this and put it right there. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this study and our fun little art project. And let's put it up here so you can see it good. And don't forget, I'm giving these away. So when if you leave a comment, you'll have a chance to win. I may do it like once a month or something. I first thought I was gonna do it on the next video, and then I realized that I'll have to write that on there later. I realized that it won't give people enough time to watch and enter if I do, give away something on the next video. So I'm just going to have one video a month, I think, where I will give away the 4 or so that we've done in the Job study. And then in my iCAD, once a month, I'll give away all of the ones that I've done videos on, or maybe twice a month. I don't know, but I want to be sure and give people time to watch and comment. So earlier I said I would do it the next video, but that was not good thinking. that was just me talking without thinking. So anyway, I will make sure there's a big, the title will be iCAD giveaway or Job study giveaway when I tell you who's won. But so leave a comment if you want to win a postcard. God bless you. Love you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.